Welcome to Monday Morning Joe on JoeBucksFan.com. Thanks for coming back. Steve Isbitts of JoeBucksFan.com here, better known as one of the Joes. And the podcast, of course, is presented by Lakeland Automall Ford and Hyundai and Discount Garage Doors. But first, man, what a game. What a crazy game. It was so crazy. It drove me so nuts that I literally left probably close to $500 worth of equipment and just electronic gear at Raymond James Stadium, which I'm still trying to track back down this morning. I believe it's there, but I'm waiting for the official word and all that kind of stuff. I've never done that before, and just sort of speaks to how in shock Bucks fans are. One, to be 2-1. We haven't been 2-1 or won 2 games in the first 4 of a season since 2011. So this feels foreign. This is weird. But on top of that, man, I just was so busy in the locker room and then working with the Sage, Ira Kaufman, whatever, lost my mind, doing all this stuff, left all this stuff there. So the podcast today doesn't have some of the music and other stuff. We're going real. We're going raw. We are going to bang this out on one take because I don't have what I would normally use to edit. So it is going. And thanks for joining the podcast. The numbers on the podcast have been doing so much better, continuing to improve each week. Yes, football season is here. That can't hurt. But clearly we're growing. We're growing in subscribers, people tuning in. And that's pretty darn cool. I appreciate it. Your time is valuable, and you giving it some of it to me and to JoeBucksFan.com is always appreciated. Find the podcast on Podbean.com, iTunes, right on JoeBucksFan.com every Monday. You can search for it. It's on some other platforms as well. And we appreciate the subscriptions. When you subscribe, it's free. You don't have to do anything. All you do is do your little subscription button there on Podbean or iTunes, and you get a free alert. Or it'll sometimes automatically download a link for you to access the podcast as soon as it's available, because it is available different times on Monday. Sometimes I go early. Sometimes I go a little bit later, like today. So, the game. Let's get to one key aspect of this game, which was Dirk Koetter being willing to gamble the whole season in a lot of ways. And yeah, maybe that's an over-exaggeration, but he put the whole season on the line on Nick Folk's leg after Folk missed a couple of 40-yarders, I think 49 and 41, and an extra point, which of course is inexcusable. So Folk's having a bad day, and Koetter gets down to the 15-yard line late in the game, takes the air out of the ball, forces the Giants to call their timeouts, basically takes 2 knees, and cues up Folk for a game-winning 34-yarder. That's interesting on a couple levels. After the game, Koetter said, you play the percentages. That's the way you do it. You play the percentages. I had faith in my kicker. Well, that didn't sit well with Joe, a.k.a. me. I'm not going to call myself Joe. It's funny that I even did that. I promise I don't think that way. I don't think of myself as Joe like that, but sometimes I get in writing mode for the website. Anyway, that just didn't sit well, because look at what Koetter did on 1st and goal from the 1-yard line, the 3/4-yard line. Did he play the percentages? What Koetter said you had to do at the end of the game? No, he didn't play the percentages. The percentages would say, run the ball up the middle twice. You should get it. I mean, after all, Jason Light and Dirk Koetter told us that we got an upgrade on the offensive line this year. Ali Marpet was installed in there at center to provide more beef. J.R. Sweezy, monster, nasty edge. These are run-first blockers. Do we run behind them? No. He throws a pitch to Jaquiz Rogers. A pitch, toss wide, of course, that lost a yard or 2. The Giants don't have a slow defense. The Giants have playmakers on their defense. And it was not the percentage call, which is my point here. Late in the game, Koetter's saying play the percentages for Folk, who's not doing well. But we get to the goal line, and those points were every bit as important in that game. In fact, if the Bucs score a touchdown there, they don't need Folk's kick late in the game if they didn't have to settle for 3 points earlier. You know, of course, games change, but you get the point. So it was very interesting when Cutter to me said, play the percentages, because he didn't do that earlier in the game. And I don't think Cutter in general as a coach is a play the percentages kind of guy. So interesting choice of words by Cutter. But what the guy did was he knew the consequences there. And he put his balls on the table. Let's just call it what it is. He put them all out there. He was going to bank on Nick Folk. Nick Folk to keep the Buccaneers out of the NFC South cellar, which they would have been in if they lost that game. He bet on Nick Folk to win a game when they drafted a quarterback number 1 overall, when they've got mismatches with Mike Evans or Deshaun Jackson, take your pick, guys who are good in the end zone, when you drafted O.J. Howard in the first round and Cam Brate is the number 1 receiver for touchdowns among tight ends. You took the ball out of the hands of all of those guys who you could have thrown non-dangerous passes in the back of the end zone or in the corner of the end zone. You get the idea. You took it out of their hands, guys you've invested on to lead this team, and you put it on the leg of a struggling kicker. That is some nerve. That is some nerve, people, because if that went wrong, and I'm not going to dwell on it because it didn't, but if that went wrong, this whole town this morning would A, be calling for Cutter's head, because that's just the reality of the overreaction, and B, we'd be looking for a new kicker. We'd be looking for a new kicker because all the trust would have been pulled out from Nick Folk. And imagine what Jason Light might feel in that situation where A, knowing he got a crappy kicker again, and B, that his coach screwed up in such a grand fashion and put the team in a very difficult spot. But you know what? That's football. And, the naysayers out there can be like, oh, the Bucs got lucky. The Bucs stink, whatever. You just can't go there. A win in the NFL is hard to get. It's rare that they're not deserved. The Bucs were the better team on that field yesterday. They left a lot of points on the field, but still managed to win. And look what the Giants did the week before. Philadelphia, the Eagles now, they're 3-1. They beat the Giants on a 61-yard field goal just a week ago. And, to win the game. So the Giants have been on the wrong end of that twice. And, I'm not taking anything away from the Bucs yesterday. They were better in many, many ways. Now, also, who's better in many, many ways? Lakeland Auto Mall, Ford, and Hyundai. It's the Lakeland Auto Mall, Ford, and Hyundai model year-end closeout. This is the time where you can save up to $12,000 off MSRP with special dealer discounts on all 2017 Ford and Hyundai vehicles. Plus, every new vehicle purchased at Lakeland Auto Mall, Ford, and Hyundai includes a nationwide lifetime warranty and 1-year free maintenance. Nationwide lifetime warranty. Think about that. Think about the value in that if you hold on to your vehicle like I do. I'm that kind of guy. Tremendous, tremendous offer. Shop from nearly 1,000 vehicles in stock and make your selection by price or by payment. Shop online, Lakeland Auto Mall, LakelandAutomall.com. Get your best deal, and you can when you get that online, either at LakelandFord.com, for example, then you contact manager Sean Sullivan, a friend of mine. Tell him you're a Bucs fan. Tell him you're a stick carrier. Let him know you love the Bucs, and you'll get an additional $500 off your best deal on any new Ford. No other dealer can compare. Nobody else is offering that. Again, go to LakelandFord.com, find your best new car, something that you like. They already put their lowest price online. This is not some sort of bait and switch thing. And just for letting Sean Sullivan know that you are a Bucs fan, that you are a stick carrier, whatever it is, however you like to call yourself as a Bucs fan, tell them you're a Joe Bucs fan junkie, you're going to get an additional $500 off your best deal on any new Ford. Come to Lakeland Auto Mall today. Find out why they are exceeding customer expectations every single day. And got a few topics I want to get to today. We're going to dive into Brent Grimes. I've talked to Levante David. He had really some interesting stuff to say. He didn't play in this game, obviously. That's why I wanted to get some perspective for him. And a little bit on the Patriots game. Doug Martin. I'm getting to Doug Martin today because it's important and it's real, and there's some stuff to say here. and, of course, some other stuff out of the game on Sunday. But we also have to thank Discount Garage Doors. DGDoors.com. DGDoors.com is the website. Discount Garage Doors, if you have any kind of need with your garage door, you want to get it checked out because it's not working right. Maybe you haven't used it in 6 months and it needs to be fixed, needs to go up and down, and you don't feel comfortable using it. Maybe you want a more secure garage door, or you know you need a new one. Whatever it is, call Discount Garage Doors. You'll get a same-day free service call. Now, if you call them at 5 o'clock at night, you might not get a same-day free service call, but that's what's available. 7 days a week for an estimate, a diagnosis, and they'll beat any comparable estimate from other local companies. Most garage door companies charge to have somebody come out for a diagnosis, for an estimate, whatever it is. Not at Discount Garage Doors. They serve the entire Tampa Bay area, Orlando. They're licensed, they're insured. They're a great local company, been around for this entire century. 10% off if you use your Joe Bucks Fan discount code. Joe Bucks Fan is the discount code. Discount Garage Doors. Give them a call, 1-866-420-DOOR, 1-866-420-DOOR, or right at their website. They really have an A-plus website as far as information. There's a coupons page. There's some videos, all kinds of stuff you can look at there. Discount Garage Doors. Support them. They like the Bucks. They support JoeBucksFan.com, and it doesn't get any better than that because we love support for JoeBucksFan.com. And I say we because we're a team here at JoeBucksFan.com World Headquarters. Lee D. Kemper, Ira Kaufman. We're a team. It's not just me. It's not just me. All right. Going back real quick to the Buccaneers' failure on 1st and goal in that game. Jameis, the quarterback sneak, Bucks don't do it. You know, I wrote a story. You didn't read it anywhere else. Dirk Cutter said a couple of weeks ago that he was asked about the quarterback sneak, and he said, we don't do it. Basically, in a roundabout way, he said that some directly, he said some quarterbacks are good at it, some are not, and we are going to trust the ball in the hands of the professional ball carriers. Now, you could shine light on this specifically this week because Tom Brady is known for being one of the very best quarterback sneakers in the history of the game. And he's coming to town on Thursday, Bucks Patriots. So why can't Jameis do it? Do they not trust him? Is he bad at ball security? Do they feel he's going to not know when to give up on a play and maybe get stripped in a scrum? What is it? I don't know. I mean, Jameis is a good athlete. Jameis is certainly driven. He's certainly fearless. All the things you need to be a good quarterback sneaker. Maybe they don't feel he's got a certain level of strength. You know, Josh Freeman was very good at it. They didn't always give him a shot, but he was almost flawless at it. Do we really think Jameis can't do it? It cost them against the Giants. The inability to quarterback sneak cost the Bucks in that game, and that's why I'm bringing it up. Because you know what? It's nice. It's great to hand the ball off. It's great to do other things when you need a yard, as long as you get it. But the sneak should be in your arsenal with a young quarterback. It's interesting. I don't know if we'll ever get a straight answer why Jameis doesn't sneak. He was asked at his news conference about that yesterday, and he sort of brushed it off, kind of thing that, you know, he trusts Coach Cutter and all that. But it's a little bit odd, and I'm not sure we've ever seen Jameis quarterback sneak in his career. Maybe once. I don't know. But Cutter made it clear 2 weeks ago he's not into it. Not with Jameis. So, but it cost the Bucks, and that was the problem. But, you know, still, run Jaquiz up the middle twice. He's a power guy. He's a guy who's going to find the seam. I mean, just run right up the butt, right up the gut of Sweezy or Marpet. It was a little bit odd, and hopefully Dirk Cutter learned from it. Hopefully he did. You just can't do that there, or at least go to your main weapon. You know, throw it up to Mike Evans. I don't think you can really go wrong there necessarily. I don't know, but didn't like it, and the quarterback sneak thing remains a mystery, and maybe we can get some information on that this week. Got to say something about Brent Grimes, because Grimes came back and looked like a true superstar, absolute true superstar in that game. If you didn't know how old he was, if you didn't know what the deal was, you'd look at him as a all-pro, Pro Bowl, lockdown cornerback. That's what he played like against the Giants. Odell Beckham Jr., one of the great athletes in the game. Grimes was matched up with him most of the day. They moved around. Very impressive stuff from Grimes. Very, very impressive stuff. There's not much to say beyond that. Excuse me. His athleticism is that of a 25-year-old guy. His competitiveness is a guy, it's just like one of those guys you played ball with as a kid who was just ultra competitive. Grimes is that guy day in and day out. What he's produced for the Bucs, I'm going to even dare say that his cornerback play for the Buccaneers in one season and a couple of games is better than I remember from Rondé Barber on a consistent level, considering what both of them were asked to do. He's a hell of a player. And it's not a knock on Barber. I'm just saying Grimes is that good. And we saw the difference with him on the field versus what we saw in Minnesota. It's no coincidence. He gives stability back there. I believe he gives more confidence to Vernon Hargreaves, who might not be ready to shoulder the load as a number one corner. But impressive stuff from Grimes. And I think as Bucs fans, we really just have to keep our fingers crossed that he wants to play next year, that he's able to play, and we don't have to go fishing for a replacement because it's going to be so hard to find one. So hard to find one. He's a good locker room guy, too, and just been a great addition. Great score by Jason Light and company there to be able to convince Grimes to play for the Bucs. He wasn't exactly close friends with Mike Smith. Everybody likes to talk about the connection, but he felt jilted by Smith. He went out to dinner, him and Miko and Mike Smith to bury the hatchet. Before, I think right after he was signed here, or maybe just before. So, and several other teams wanted Grimes to play for them. So we got lucky, and it's not always luck. We made it happen, and we should all be damn happy that Mr. Grimes is on the field. Now, many of you were at the stadium yesterday. Many of you were watching the game. I'm not sure how it came up on television. I haven't watched a TV copy yet, but hey, what do you know? It's Dirk Cutter calling. No, it's not. All right. I told you we were raw and real on this podcast today. At the stadium, I'm not going to dwell too much on it because if you were there, you know exactly where I'm going here. Too much blue. So much blue. Too many Giants fans for a home game. I don't know if the Bucs had to go to silent count in that game, but it looked like they did. I'll confirm that this week. It doesn't really matter. They did that all through 2015, having to go to silent count at home, and the amount of blue that was in that stadium, I'm almost certain that they did. And I don't want to say it's disgusting. It's part of what we deal with living in the Tampa Bay area, but it's just not cool. It is not cool, and the only thing that's going to fix it is for the Bucs to get so darn good and change the numbers, change the percentages of the fans who are coming out, and get a lot of those, bandwagon fans that they just not having come out in tremendous numbers yet. So it's a rough atmosphere. I felt really bad for Bucs fans who had to be surrounded by blue. It's not a good way to go to a game when you're investing serious money to go to the game, and the people around you are rooting against you and talking crap and all that stuff. So at least the victory came, and we'll leave it at that. 6 in a row now at home. Six for the Bucs. Is it a real home field advantage? Is it legit? I think so. I 100% think so. I asked Dirk Cutter after the game yesterday if he thought the team was actually playing better, if he could feel a difference, see a difference with what they're producing at home. And Cutter shut me down. Okay, that's fine. But 6 in a row is real. And Tamar Dotson told my associate Lee DeCamper that, hey, Cutter has told everybody we cannot lose at home, period. That's our formula to win. We need to go undefeated at home. That's the mindset pulsing through the team. And for me, that's perfect. That is perfect, and it's showing up. Look how Gerald McCoy came back out to defend the home turf yesterday. The guy was dominant early. Dominant. Of course, he's got very little help when it comes to rushing the passer. If the Bucs are okay against the run, Will Golston does his thing. Robert Ayers is pretty solid against the run. Noah Spence, not necessarily. But McCoy came out to defend the home turf. The Bucs offense is doing some good things. So the home turf, the home field advantage, I believe it's real. And for me, I'm going to say it right here, right now. I think the Bucs are going to beat the Patriots. I really do. I'm picking the Bucs to beat the Patriots. Maybe 28-24, something like that. A one-score tight game. But I think the Bucs will capitalize on that home field advantage. This is the best time to get, and the best way to get the Patriots. Best time in a way. They're coming off an emotional loss, short week, hitting the road, lack of preparation time. All the reasons that we think it's tough for the Bucs to face the Patriots, it's that much tougher for the Patriots as well. Nobody escapes time. Nobody escapes the rigors of playing on a short week on the road. And I like that. I like that for the Bucs. Yesterday, driving into the stadium, I spent most of the time on my stuck in traffic listening to the Patriots game call. So the Patriots broadcasters calling the game, Panthers and the Patriots. And they were talking about how, they were talking about how, and they spent a lot of time on it, how awful the Patriots' pass defense has been, how many breakdowns that they've endured, how it was very unpatriot-like. And they were taught there was a play to Kelvin Benjamin in the game of the Panthers. And the announcers, one of them's an ex-player, I forget who he is, was going on and on saying that, hey, next week they've got Jameis Winston, Deshaun Jackson, Cameron Brate, and Mike Evans, and it's going to be ugly. This is during the Panthers-Patriots game. That's how bad it's been for the Patriots, and their analysts and their fans know how terrible the pass defense has been. This is not something that apparently the Patriots and Bill Belichick have been able to fix, and the Bucs are solid in their passing game. Very strong. It was very solid again yesterday. Sorry about that. So I think the Bucs have a big advantage here. I really do. I really think they've got tremendous advantage in the passing game. The Patriots don't really seem to have anything that can counter solid pass blocking and weapons. And the Bucs have those things. If you go to Jacquizz Rodgers, go to Charles Sims, you really look at their pass blocking this year, it's been exceptional. And the line's been doing a pretty solid job. Overall, you really can't complain too much. So I'm going there. Bucs going to beat the Patriots, going to go 3-1. Things have changed. It's a different era of Bucs football. I believe that, and I think that's going to show up on Thursday. So there, take that to the bank. How about that? The linebacker play, Beckwith, Glanton, you really have to applaud these guys. One of the Bucs' great strengths, one of the things that made this defense special for the second half of last year was Quan Alexander and Levante David. And you know what? Those guys being out, they didn't miss too much of a beat. They really didn't. Beckwith is showing that he can cover. He can play the run. He can handle the mental demands of calling the plays. He had the green helmet or the communication helmet on yesterday. So pretty super special stuff that's going on. Glanton has been around. This is his third year with the Bucs, his third season. And Glanton is a legit player. I remember talking to Levante David, I think it was before the season, long before the season. I was asking him about something, and he just started going on a rant about Glanton. I didn't even ask about Glanton, but David was talking like, you know what? Oh, I was talking about replacing Smith, Darryl Smith, and I was talking about the rookies and picking up a guy in free agency and how hard it might be to come in on this defense. And when a guy doesn't have the knowledge of a Darryl Smith, who played under Mike Smith previously, and he went on a huge rant about Glanton, and sure enough, you know what? Glanton is playing some good football. And the Bucs have depth at linebacker, and it's pretty special because look how valuable this depth becomes when Quan and Levante David come back. And Dirk Cutter made a very interesting point on the Buccaneers pregame show on the radio. He said that part of what makes the Beckwith and Glanton situation for them getting so much playing time, part of what makes that easier and better for them right now is the fact that we're so close to preseason. He said because a guy like Beckwith or a guy like Glanton, guys who took a lot of reps in preseason, including in the fourth preseason game, if they had to sit out 7 weeks and then come in for an injury, they're not the same kind of player as they are playing early in the season when they had so much work in preseason and their minds and their bodies are more in football shape. So these injuries to Levante David, to Quan Alexander, Cutter's point was that they're better coming early in the season because of the continuity and for the depth players. And I think we're seeing that. So if there is a silver lining to these injuries on the Bucs, it's that they came early and, the guys coming in aren't cold, coming off the bench completely cold. So I thought that was an interesting little nugget, different way to look at things. And, here at JoeBucksFan.com, we find a way to track down all the pregame shows, the player shows, everything. And, sometimes you get some great nuggets in there, which is pretty cool. Also wanted to mention, I talked to David after the game last night, and he's just so big on what Beckwith and Glanton are doing, having a chance to watch them. And, Levante's not, he talks in cliches a little bit, but he spoke a little bit more detail, but you could tell he really reveres what they're doing on the field. And he stressed it as how on point Beckwith and Glanton are within the defense. Of course, David knows what he's watching. So it's not just a talent thing or, hey, he made the tackle. He's talking about they're on their keys and they're just playing so well within the defense, and a lot of confidence among those linebackers and among Mike Smith as well. I mean, he was a little down with Ira. Talking to Ira after the game last night, Ira's always harassing Mike Smith. They go back for years. And, Smith is the kind of guy who lets up a touchdown and he's pissed off. But, let alone 20-something points to Eli Manning, who Mike Smith, from his days with the Falcons, got burned by many, many, many times. Really almost cost him his career. But even Mike Smith appreciates what the linebackers have turned in, and there's no shortage of love from Dirk Cutter as well. So, Bucs fans, we avoided the season on the brink. We avoided disaster. Now we're 2-1. We're in this new feeling, this new 2-1 feel that we haven't experienced in so long. It feels like an eternity. Multiple coaches. Crazy that it's taken so long. All right, Doug Martin. By the time you get this podcast, the time you listen to this, or especially reach this point in the podcast, Doug Martin is probably going to be a Buccaneer back on the roster. And you're going to read, as soon as he is, you'll be able to read something on JoeBucksFan.com about it. Now, I've been a Doug Martin, some might say a hater, farthest thing from the truth. Just not the truth. I just don't think the guy's a good football player any longer. And when I say good football player, that means one who can be relied on to produce on the field, to be consistent off the field, and to be a valuable member of the Buccaneers on a consistent basis. I don't think Doug Martin is that guy anymore. One, I base it on 2016 film, ugly film. You can spin it all the way from here to Montana and back. I guess I should say Idaho with Dirk Cutter as the head coach. But it doesn't look good. Martin's film last year is bad. You can make all the excuses for him in the world. He's had 3 bad seasons, 2 good seasons, and he's also been injury prone throughout his career. Now, in the words of Dirk Cutter, you play the percentages. And for Joe, BucksFan.com, and for myself personally, Doug Martin's a bad percentage. Dirk Cutter, you play the percentages. Well, Martin is not a good gamble, in my opinion. And we're going to learn today that Martin, or tomorrow, when he does come back, he's being paid full salary. full pay. No pay cut, no restructuring of a deal. That's what's going to happen. He's going to get paid. And I can't sit here, unfortunately, and tell you everything I know about the Doug Martin situation, everything I've learned. At JoeBucksFan.com, some of you might think we're just jokesters or doing our thing and whatever, but we've got a lot of sources. We put a lot of time and energy into learning the truth. We have a lot of people, frankly, who reach out to us, players, families, administrators, officials, you name it. And there's a lot of information that flows through us that we just can't share. And I hate to even mention that on a podcast because it's like, come on, Steve, what the hell are you doing? But the Doug Martin situation, I'm rooting for the guy. He's back on the team. But I think there's way too many red flags. And it starts with him not being a very good football player anymore. Do I think he's a better pass blocker than Charles Sims or Jacquizz Rodgers in the Buccaneers pass first offense? No, I don't think he is at all. Those guys have been fantastic. Do I think Doug Martin is a guy who can be successful as a part-time running back if he has to come in and share carries? No, I don't think so. He's never done that. He's always been a bell cow guy who needs his touches to get going. The body of work from Jacquizz Rodgers last year and this year is excellent. It's over 4 yards a carry. It's consistent. It's not, there's no fumbling issue. There's no assignment issues. He's a solid football player. Do I think Doug Martin represents a significant upgrade, consistent, significant upgrade to Jacquizz Rodgers if you make Martin the number one back? No, I don't think so. Now, I'm not blind. I'm not stupid. I realize that Martin is a talented back, a guy with more running talent than Jacquizz Rodgers, but this game is more than just about running talent. Martin fills a need for the Bucs as far as depth goes, and it's clear that when Snoop Dogg McPlaybook, Jeremy McNichols, couldn't make the club, that played very well for Martin. When the Bucs couldn't find a guy on the street that they thought was a good fit to replace McNichols, even temporarily to get a look at, that played very well for Martin, and now he's back. What I don't like about this is the money. I don't like the fact the Bucs are going to pay him in full. I don't think it was necessary, and I don't want to hear next year when the Bucs are angling and deciding on what free agents to pick, and they're talking about money. Remember, this year it was too expensive for them. Dirk Cutter said they didn't have $17 million laying around to go get Calais Campbell. I don't want to hear that they didn't have the rollover money from Doug Martin, the $5 million that they invested in him. Because does anybody really think Martin is going to carry the rock for the Bucs next year? Is he their running back when they make the Super Bowl? I don't think so. I think it's glaring right now that the Bucs need to draft a running back, just like it was glaring 1 year ago. So I wish Doug Martin well. Like I said, expect him to be back on the team. Maybe by the time you hear this podcast, maybe not. Today, tomorrow, whatever it is. And that's really it. There's never been anything personal against Doug Martin, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I think a guy's a good football player and deserves to come back. And if he needs to be motivated, like a lot of you have said, if he needs to be a guy in a contract year or a rookie year or super motivated, he needs that kind of year, a prove-it year, like I wrote on JoeBucksFan.com, or you might see soon. Teams spend millions of dollars weeding out just those kinds of players in the draft and in the free agency process. They don't want guys who need a carrot, who need a cash motivator, who need to be in a contract year. Those are the guys that they don't want. They want the guys who love football, who live and breathe it 24/7 and would play for nothing. That's the kind of guy, that's the kind of mentality that organizations pay millions of dollars to find. So if your argument is that Doug just needs a motivation, I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. And I don't think you should either. So let's hope Doug Martin recaptures his glory, finds a way to crank out a couple of good games, maybe put the team on his back for a couple of weeks and wins a ball game outright for the Bucs and is a contributor. We could use him. Do I think it's a good move? No. And I'm not going to waver from that because Just not how I feel. I'm not going to BS you here on the Monday Morning Joe podcast. All right, Lakeland Automobile Ford and Hyundai, thank you. Discount Garage Doors, thank you. DGDoors.com, visit them. Lakeland Auto